Mariano Pinchot Meyer, October 14, 1920, October 12, 1964, was an American painter who lived in Washington, D.C. She was married to Central Intelligence Agency official Cord Meyer from 1945–1958, and became involved romantically with President John F. Kennedy after her divorce from Meyer. Pinchot Meyer was shot to death on the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal towpath on October 12, 1964. A suspect, Ray Crumb, Jr., was arrested and charged with her murder, but was ultimately acquitted. Pinchot Meyer's life, her relationship with Kennedy, and her murder have been the subjects of numerous articles and books, including a full-length biography by journalist Nina Burley. Early life. Pinchot was born in New York City, the elder of two daughters of Amos and Ruth, née Pickering Pinchot. Amos Pinchot was a wealthy lawyer and a key figure in the Progressive Party who had helped fund the socialist magazine The Masses. Her mother Ruth was Pinchot's second wife and was a journalist who wrote for such magazines as The Nation and The New Republic. Mary was also the niece of Gifford Pinchot, a noted conservationist and two-time governor of Pennsylvania. Pinchot and her younger sister Antoinette, nicknamed Tony, were raised at the family's Greytowers home in Milford, Pennsylvania. As a child, Pinchot met such left-wing intellectuals as Mabel Dodge, Louis Brandeis, Robert M. La Follette, Sr., and Harold L. Ickes. She attended the Brearley School and Vassar College, where she became interested in communism. She started dating William Atwood in 1935 and, while with him at a dance held at Choate, first met John F. Kennedy in 1936. After her graduation from Vassar in 1942, Meyer became a journalist, writing for the United Press and Mademoiselle. As a pacifist and member of the American Labor Party, she came under scrutiny by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Marriage. Pinchot met Cord Meyer in 1944 when he was a Marine Corps lieutenant who had lost his left eye because of shrapnel injuries received in combat. The two had similar pacifist views and beliefs in world government and married on April 19, 1945. That spring they both attended the UN Conference on International Organization in San Francisco, during which the United Nations was founded, Cord as an aide of Harold Stassen and Pinchot as a reporter for a newspaper syndication service. She later worked for a time as an editor for Atlantic Monthly. Their eldest child Quentin was born in November 1945. Followed by Michael in 1947, after which Pinchot became a homemaker, although she attended classes at the Art Students League of New York. Cord Meyer became president of the United World Federalists in May 1947 and its membership doubled. Mary Meyer wrote for the organization's journal. In 1950, their third child, Mark, was born and they moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Meanwhile, her husband began to re-evaluate his notions of world government as members of the Communist Party USA infiltrated the international organizations he had founded. In 1951, Cord joined the Central Intelligence Agency after being recruited by Allen Dulles. With her husband's CIA appointment, they moved to Washington, D.C. and became highly visible members of Georgetown society. Their acquaintances included Joseph Alsop, Katharine Graham, Clark Clifford, and Washington Post reporter James Truitt and his wife, noted artist Anne Truitt. Their social circle also included CIA-affiliated people such as Richard M. Bissell, Jr., high-ranking counterintelligence official James Angleton, and Marion Frank Wisner, Meyer's boss at CIA. In 1953, Senator Joseph McCarthy publicly accused Cord Meyer of being a communist, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation was reported to have looked into Mary's political past. Allen Dulles and Frank Wisner aggressively defended Meyer and he remained with the CIA. However, by early 1954, Cord Meyer had become unhappy with his CIA career. He used contacts from his covert operations in Operation Mockingbird to approach several New York publishers for a job but was rebuffed. In the summer of 1954, John F. Kennedy and his wife Jackie Kennedy bought the house next door to the Meyers. Pinchot Meyer and Jackie Kennedy became acquainted and they went on walks together. By the end of 1954, Meyer was still with the CIA and often in Europe, running Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and managing millions of dollars of U.S. government funds worldwide to support progressive-seeming foundations and organizations opposing the Soviet Union. One of Pinchot Meyer's close friends was a fellow Vassar alumna, Cicely Tremont, who married James Angleton. In 1955, Meyer's sister Antoinette Tony married Ben Bradley, who was then Washington bureau chief of Newsweek. On December 18, 1956, the Meyers' middle son Michael, aged 9, was hit by a car near their house and killed. Although this tragedy brought Mary and Meyer closer for a time, Mary filed for divorce in 1958. Relationship with Kennedy. After the divorce, Pinchot Meyer and her two surviving sons moved to Georgetown. She began painting again in a converted garage studio at the home of her sister Tony and Tony's husband, Ben Bradley. She also started a close relationship with abstract minimalist painter Kenneth Noland and became friendly with Robert Kennedy, who had purchased his brother's house, Hickory Hill, in 1957. Nina Burley, in her book A Very Private Woman, writes that after the divorce Meyer became a well-bred engineer out looking for fun and getting in trouble along the way. Angleton told Joan Bross, the wife of John Bross, a high-ranking CIA official, that he had begun tapping Mary Meyer's telephone after she left her husband. Angleton often visited the family home and took her sons on fishing outings. Pinchot Meyer visited John F. Kennedy at the White House in October 1961 and their relationship became intimate. Pinchot Meyer told Anne and James Truitt she was keeping a diary. Rumors and tabloid press reports of her affair with Kennedy were confirmed by her brother-in-law, Washington Post editor Ben Bradley, in his 1995 autobiography A Good Life. Timothy Leary later claimed Pinchot Meyer influenced Kennedy's views on nuclear disarmament and rapprochement with Cuba. In an interview with Nina Burley, Kennedy aide Meyer Feldman said, "I think he might have thought more of her than some of the other women and discussed things that were on his mind, not just social gossip." Burley wrote, "Mary might actually have been a force for peace during some of the most frightening years of the Cold War." In a 2008 interview with author Peter Janney for his book Mary's Mosaic, journalist and Kennedy intimate Charles Bartlett emphasized the serious nature of Pinchot Meyer's romance with the late president, stating, "That was a dangerous relationship. Jack was in love with Mary Meyer. He was certainly smitten with her. He was heavily smitten. He was very frank with me about it." Mary Meyer was a guest at the intimate party hosted by Jacqueline Kennedy in honor of President Kennedy aboard the yacht Sequoia on his 46th and last birthday celebration, May 29, 1963. In October 1963, 1 month before his assassination, Kennedy wrote a letter to Mary Meyer, imploring her to join him for a tryst. The unsent letter, written on White House stationery and retained by Kennedy's personal secretary Evelyn Lincoln, sold in June 2016 at auction for just under $89,000. The letter reads, "Why don't you leave suburbia for once? Come and see me, either here, or at the Cape next week or in Boston the 19th. I know it is unwise, irrational, and that you may hate it. On the other hand, you may not, and I will love it.